My name is Maya. I'm 19 years old, and I just finished my second semester at a community college not far from where I live. I wasn't supposed to be here. If things had gone the way I planned, I'd be unpacking in a dorm room halfway across the country, a full-ride scholarship in hand. But instead, I'm still in the same house, in the same town, where every hallway echoes with favoritism. My older sister Liana is 22. She's the golden child, the one with the framed certificates, the choreographed piano recitals, the Instagram-perfect graduation photo. She didn't have to beg for college applications to be paid. She didn't have to fight for attention during report card season. She just showed up, smiled, and the world handed her applause. Me? I've always been the afterthought. The girl who studies late with a blanket wrapped around her knees, and YouTube tutorials whispering formulas in her ears. The one who clears dishes while Liana gets praised for breathing. I never envied her. Not really. I just wished, quietly, that one day I'd have something that was mine. That moment came in March. I had applied to 6 universities, but there was one I wanted more than anything. Hawthorne University. It's prestigious, out-of-state, and absurdly expensive. But their STEM Scholars program? Hit? It covers everything for 4 years. Tuition. Room and board. Laptop stipend. Mentorships. It's the kind of opportunity that flips your whole life around. And I earned it. Or, at least, I thought I had. On the first Friday of April, the decision day, I waited like a hawk over my email. Nothing came. Not that day. Not the next. I checked spam, refreshed my inbox more times than I can count. I even called the scholarship office, pretending to be calm. They told me something that made my stomach twist. We sent the results via email on April 3rd. You should have received them. But I hadn't. Not a single message. Not even in junk mail. They said if you didn't accept the offer by April 6th, the scholarship would be forfeited. It was April 10th. Too late. I thanked them, hung up, and just sat there. I couldn't move. I couldn't think. How could I have missed it? Hell, I checked my inbox again. Nothing. Then I checked my deleted folder. That's when I saw it. Subject, Hawthorne University STEM Scholars, offer of admission and full scholarship, sent April 3rd. Deleted April 3rd? I stared at it for a full minute before my mind connected the dots. I didn't delete that email. I would never delete that email. But someone else had access to my laptop that day. Liana. She borrowed it that morning, just for a Zoom call. I didn't think twice. I trusted her. And now, the biggest chance of my life was gone. Because of her. That night, I sat on my bed, staring at the screen. And I realized something. If my sister thought she could take this away from me quietly, she didn't know me at all. I didn't confront her right away. I couldn't. My hands were shaking too much. My chest felt like it had a fist curled up inside, pressing tighter every second. I needed proof, something undeniable. So I started with the laptop. Liana had logged into a guest account when she used it. She always did that to keep her stuff private. But what she didn't realize is that guest sessions still leave behind traces. In the browser history, in the temporary files, I dug into every folder I could think of, and there it was. A session log showing an open email account, my email. Timestamped April 3rd, 9:17 a.m. She'd logged in, opened my inbox, clicked on the email from Hawthorne, and deleted it. I even found a browser cache file with part of the email's subject line burned into it. My stomach twisted. Why would she do that? Why would she take that from me? I stared at her door across the hall for an hour. Waiting. Planning. I didn't sleep that night. The next morning, I acted like everything was normal. Like I wasn't drowning in betrayal. She came into the kitchen in one of her cozy robes, scrolling on her phone. "Morning," she said, not even looking up. I nodded, my throat dry. I watched her pour oat milk into her coffee like nothing had happened. Like she hadn't stolen the future right out from under me. I wanted to scream, but I stayed quiet. Because I knew now that she was capable of worse. And if I wanted justice, I had to be smarter. The next week, I replayed every conversation we'd had in the days before April 3rd. One stuck out. She'd asked casually if I had heard anything from that scholarship thing. I said not yet, and she just smiled and said, "Well, fingers crossed. But you've got backups, right?" I hadn't thought much of it then. Now, it echoed like a warning shot. By Friday, I couldn't keep it in. I printed the email, put it in an envelope, slid it under her door. No note, no explanation, just the evidence. Later that night, I heard her knock on my door. I didn't answer. She didn't knock again. But when I walked into the kitchen the next morning, she was already there, her face pale, her jaw clenched. "I didn't think they'd give it to you," she said, just like that. No apology, no regret, just a confession wrapped in resentment. I looked her in the eye. "You knew how much this meant to me." She shrugged. "You always get the pity points. I thought maybe it'd be better if you stayed." Better for who? That was the moment I knew. This wasn't just about jealousy. This was about control. She wanted to be the only one who mattered, and I was just a reminder that she wasn't perfect. She saw my success as a threat, so she deleted it, like she could erase me from the story. But she forgot one thing. I still knew how to write my own ending. After she admitted it, I expected her to at least pretend to be sorry, but she didn't. She just went on with her day, like we hadn't just lit a fire between us. No apology, no remorse. Just a cold silence that said, "Deal with it." My parents came home later that evening from their anniversary dinner. They were laughing, arms linked, wine on their breath. Liana greeted them with her usual charm. Fake sweetness dripped from every word. I stood in the hallway, quiet, watching the scene. I felt like a stranger in my own house. My mom turned to me. "Maya, can you help unload the dishwasher?" She hadn't even said hello. Of course. Liana was the star of the night. I was just the stage crew. I looked at her and asked, "Do you know I was accepted to Hawthorne University?" Her brows lifted. "You were?" My dad turned from the fridge, confused. "You never mentioned that." I laughed, but it wasn't a happy laugh. "No, because someone deleted the email before I could read it." My mom frowned. "What do you mean?" I pulled out the printed email, held it in front of them. My full ride scholarship. Gone. Because it was deleted from my inbox on April 3rd. I turned to Liana. "Tell them what you told me." Liana crossed her arms. "I already said it was a mistake." I looked her dead in the eye. "No. You said you didn't think they'd pick me, that it'd be better if I stayed." The air went dead. My mom slowly took the paper from my hand, read the subject line. Her lips moved silently. When she looked up, her face had changed, like something she couldn't deny had slapped her across the face. My dad was silent. Then he asked the worst question possible. "Are you sure you didn't just miss the email?" I felt my chest go tight. Even now, when I brought the truth to their doorstep, they looked for a way around it, a way to keep believing in their golden daughter. I spoke quietly. She logged into my account. I found the cache files, timestamps, everything. My dad rubbed his temples. My mom turned to Liana. "Is this true?" Liana didn't even flinch. "I already said it was a mistake. Drop it." Drop it. That's what they always told me. Drop it when Liana borrowed my clothes without asking. Drop it when she took my art and signed her name on it in 8th grade. Drop it when she accidentally read my diary and laughed about it at school. I had dropped it too many times. And this time, I wasn't going to. I looked at both of them. "If you're not going to do anything about this, I will." Then I turned and walked to my room. They didn't follow. Of course they didn't. Because for them, keeping the peace meant keeping Liana happy. But I wasn't interested in peace anymore. I was interested in truth. And I had just found the sharpest way to deliver it. I didn't speak to anyone for 2 days. Not my sister. Not my parents. Not even my best friend, Ava. I just replayed everything in my head, over and over, until it burned. The unfairness. The silence. The way they brushed it off like it was spilled juice instead of a shattered future. On the 3rd day, something inside me clicked. A sharp, clean click, like the closing of a lock. And I knew exactly what I had to do. I didn't want revenge. Not exactly. But I wanted them to feel what I felt. Confused, dismissed, powerless. So I opened my laptop and started typing. It looked like a regular email at first. Professional, polite. But underneath every line was a different kind of truth. I used the same formatting Hawthorne University had used. Same font, same tone, same polite disappointment. Dear Miss Liana Morgan, we regret to inform you that your candidacy for the 2024 Social Innovation Grant has not been successful. While your achievements are notable, we felt that another applicant demonstrated stronger alignment with our core values, particularly around integrity, honesty, and collaborative spirit. We appreciate your interest and wish you all the best in your future endeavors. Warm regards, Scholarship Review Board. Of course, there was no such scholarship, but I wanted her to feel the sting. Just once, to see a door close and not be able to open it. Then I printed it, put it in an envelope, slid it into a small stack of mail on the kitchen counter, right between a fashion catalog and a utility bill. And then I waited. That evening, my parents were watching TV. Liana came downstairs, scrolling her phone. She noticed the mail, flipped through it, paused, opened the letter. I watched from the hallway. Her eyes scanned the words. I saw her brows knit together, her lips part just slightly. Then she crumpled the paper and tossed it into the trash. But she didn't say a word. She didn't even look at me, and that's when I knew. She believed it. She believed she'd been rejected. Because somewhere inside, she knew she didn't deserve what she had. Because she recognized the feeling. The feeling she gave me when she deleted that email. Later that night, I took the letter out of the trash and tucked it into my drawer. I wasn't proud of what I did, but I wasn't ashamed either. Because it wasn't just a prank. It was a mirror. And for once, she had to see herself clearly. The next morning, things were different. Liana didn't make her usual grand entrance at breakfast. She didn't mock me when I wore my community college hoodie. She just ate her cereal in silence. No eye contact. No insults. It wasn't remorse. But it was fear. Fear that I wasn't the quiet, forgettable sister anymore. Fear that I had finally started playing the game on my own terms. And I wasn't done. Not yet. The silence didn't last long. By the end of the week, Liana was back to being Liana. Loud, polished, fake. She started posting on Instagram again. Throwback selfies. Filtered sunsets. #blessed in every caption. At home, she pretended nothing happened. And my parents? They followed her lead. They stopped bringing up the scholarship. Stopped asking questions. Like if they didn't say the word, it would vanish. But I couldn't forget, and I wasn't going to let them forget either. That Sunday, we had dinner together. A rare thing. Mom made roast chicken. Dad poured sparkling apple cider like it was champagne. Liana was talking about her latest job interview, like she already had the position. They said I'm a perfect fit for the marketing team, she said, twirling spaghetti around her fork. Dad beamed. That's my girl! Mom smiled softly. You're going places, sweetheart. Then she turned to me. And Maya, how's school going? I placed my fork down slowly, looked her straight in the eyes. Fine. Though I still think about how I was supposed to be at Hawthorne right now. Silence. Liana froze. Mom's smile flickered. Dad cleared his throat. I kept going. It's strange, isn't it? How one deleted email can change everything. Liana glared at me. Maya. But I cut her off. Or how no one in this family did a single thing when I brought proof that someone stole my opportunity. I looked at my parents. You didn't even report it. Or try to fix it. You just moved on. My mom put down her fork. Maya, it's not that simple. I leaned forward. No, it's exactly that simple. You picked the child who was easier to love, easier to show off. And when the quiet one got a win, you watched her lose it and said nothing. The room went still. Even the sound of the clock on the wall felt louder than the air around us. My dad finally spoke. You're being dramatic. I laughed. A small, humorless laugh. I guess it's easier to call me dramatic than to admit you failed me. I stood up, took my plate, and walked it to the sink. But before I left the kitchen, I paused. There's a reason Liana keeps getting away with things. You made her believe she's untouchable. But I'm done playing quiet. I'm done swallowing injustice just to keep her comfortable. Then I left. I could feel all three of them staring after me, but no one said a word. That was the first time I'd said it out loud, that they let her walk all over me. And I wasn't asking for them to fix it anymore. I was showing them the consequences. I went to bed that night knowing one thing. Silence had protected her for too long. But now, the truth had pulled up a chair at the table, and it wasn't leaving. 2 days after the dinner, I finally told Ava. She's been my best friend since 7th grade. The kind of person who can tell how I'm feeling just from a single text. We met at the corner coffee shop, her favorite spot. She ordered iced lavender tea. I got a black coffee I didn't even want. Maya, she said, as soon as we sat down, you look like you haven't slept in a week. I haven't, I said, and then I told her everything. About the scholarship, the deleted email, the rejection letter I forged, the confrontation at dinner. Ava didn't interrupt once. She just listened, her brows furrowing deeper with every detail. By the end, she was gripping her drink so hard the cup started to crack. What? Her voice was sharp, too loud for a quiet cafe. She deleted it, I said, and admitted it. And your parents did nothing? I nodded. They told me to drop it, said I was being dramatic. Ava stared at me. That's insane. Maya, this is theft. Sabotage. She literally destroyed your future. I know. She leaned back, her eyes scanning my face. Then she asked the question I'd been avoiding. What are you going to do about it? I didn't answer right away. Instead, I reached into my backpack and pulled out a folder. Inside were copies of the scholarship email, the tech logs from my laptop, and a timeline I'd written out. You're building a case, she whispered. I nodded. It's not just about what she did. It's about showing them I'm not backing down anymore. Ava looked at me like she was seeing a different version of me. Not the soft-spoken friend she used to protect from bullies, but someone steel-spined. Focused. You know what you need to do, she said. Tell your college advisor. Show them the proof. Apply for the spring transfer. You might still have options. I blinked. I hadn't thought about that. Would they even listen? I asked. Ava leaned forward. Maya, if I were on the board and you showed me this story, this truth, I'd fight for you myself. We sat in silence for a while. Then she reached out and took my hand. You are not going to let her end your story on her terms. That night, I stayed up writing. A letter to the transfer office. I attached the proof, wrote the whole truth. No dramatics, just facts and pain, printed in Times New Roman. And when I hit send, I felt something shift inside me. Not closure, but control. For the first time in months, I wasn't waiting for someone else to do right by me. I was doing it myself. 3 days after I sent the letter, I got the call. I was in the library, headphones in, rereading my physics notes for the 100th time. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. But something in me said, pick it up. Hello? Is this Maya Morgan? Yes? This is Dana Kerrigan from Hawthorne University's admissions department. I froze. Every word after that felt like it was underwater. She told me they had reviewed my letter, the one I sent with all the files. They confirmed the email had been sent and that my lack of response had caused the offer to expire. But then she paused. We've never had a case like this before, she said. But after reviewing your evidence and confirming your original acceptance, the committee has made a decision. I held my breath. We're offering you deferred enrollment for the spring term. Your scholarship will still apply. I didn't say anything. I couldn't. Tears filled my eyes before the words even registered. I managed to whisper, "Thank you." She added, "You'll receive the updated offer in writing by tomorrow. We're proud to have you, Maya." I hung up the phone and sat still for a full minute. The library buzzed around me, keyboards clicking, pages flipping, but I couldn't hear any of it. I had a second chance. Despite everything, despite her. That night, I didn't say a word to my family. I just printed the new offer letter and taped it to the refrigerator. No explanation, no announcement. The next morning, I found Liana standing in front of it. Mouth slightly open, eyes scanning the words twice, like she couldn't believe what she was reading. "You're still going?" she asked, voice flat. I walked into the kitchen and poured myself coffee. "Spring term. They reopened my file," she blinked. "That's not fair." I looked at her. "Oh, you mean like deleting someone's acceptance email?" She had no comeback. Of course she didn't. Mom saw it next. She read the letter, lips tightening. Then she smiled. Too quickly. "That's wonderful, Maya. Really, we're so proud of you." I stared at her. "Now you are?" She flinched, but said nothing. Dad said nothing at all. Just walked past it like it wasn't there. That figured. Praise wasn't in his toolkit unless it came with a price. But I didn't need it anymore. Their pride, their permission, their approval. I had something better. Proof. Not just that I was accepted, but that I didn't need them to believe in me anymore. Because I finally believed in myself. I wasn't planning to tell anyone outside the house, not the full story, anyway. But Ava had other ideas. She came over one Saturday with 2 iced coffees and a fire in her eyes. "You need to post it," she said. I raised a brow. "Post what?" "Your story. Everything. Start to finish. You have no idea how many people go through this kind of thing." I hesitated. Putting it online felt messy, like airing the family laundry for strangers. But she was right. There were others like me. People who got silenced by louder siblings. People who had to watch the people who hurt them get away with it because no one wanted to confront the golden child. So I wrote it. An anonymous post. Read it, under r/true off my chest. I laid it out without drama. Just the facts. How my sister deleted my scholarship email. How my parents ignored it. How I forged a rejection letter just to watch her squirm. How I got the scholarship reinstated by myself. I clicked post and locked my phone. Didn't even check the comments for 3 hours. When I finally opened it, it had exploded. Thousands of upvotes. Hundreds of supportive comments. People calling me brave. People sharing their own stories. One comment stood out. "You didn't just get your scholarship back. You got your power back. And no one can take that away from you again." That night, I slept better than I had in months. But not everyone was happy. Liana found the post. I should have known she would. She came into my room the next morning with her phone in her hand. "You're disgusting," she hissed. "Thousands of people think I'm a monster because of you." I didn't flinch. "You are a monster. You just hate that people finally see it." She glared at me like she wanted to scream. But she didn't. Because she knew there was nothing she could say that wouldn't make it worse. She stormed out. Mom tried to smooth things over. Said it wasn't healthy to dwell. Said the internet makes everything uglier. But I wasn't listening. I was done listening to people who only cared about appearances. For once, the truth had a microphone. And this time, it was louder than Liana's lies. When I walked into school that week, people looked at me differently. Not with pity, but with something else. Respect. I wasn't invisible anymore. And I didn't have to yell to be heard. I just had to stop whispering. After the post went viral, things changed. Not just in my house, but in me. My parents acted like nothing happened. As usual, they tiptoed around the subject like it was a crack in the floor they didn't want to fall through. Mom started asking me how school was going more often. Dad offered to check my car before my drive to campus. It was awkward. Like guilt wearing a mask called concern. But Liana? She went silent. Completely. No insults, no snide remarks, no fake compliments, just long, cold glares across the room. Then, one night, she knocked on my door. Not barged in. Knocked. That was new. I opened it. She didn't step in. She just stood in the hallway, arms folded, eyes glassy. "Congratulations," she said, "on the scholarship, and on making me look like a monster to the entire internet." I stared at her. Did I lie? She looked away. "I didn't think they'd pick you, okay? You always got second place. I didn't think this would change anything." I narrowed my eyes. Is that supposed to make it better? No, she said. But it's the truth. I waited for the word. Sorry. It never came. She just nodded stiffly. Guess you're not the shadow anymore. Then she walked away, and that was it. No hug, no breakdown. Just a bitter acknowledgement that I was no longer beneath her. I closed the door and sat on my bed, staring at nothing. I didn't feel victorious. I didn't feel angry. I just felt done. Some people think apologies fix things, but sometimes the absence of an apology says more. It says, I know what I did. I just don't think you matter enough to deserve an apology. And that's when it hit me. I didn't need her to be sorry. I didn't need her to grovel or explain or fake guilt, because the truth had already exposed everything. And the silence that followed? Medi patuman, yalagan. That was its own kind of justice. The next morning, I packed my bag for school. On top of my notebooks, I placed the printed scholarship letter, not because I needed anyone to see it, but because I needed to remember. I walked past Liana in the hallway. She didn't look at me. I didn't look at her. We were strangers now. And somehow, that felt more honest than pretending to be sisters. January came faster than I expected. The holidays were quiet. No big family dinner. No grand New Year's toast. Just a countdown on my cracked phone screen and the sound of fireworks in the distance. Liana didn't say a word when I started packing, not even when I left the door open on purpose. I guess she figured the less she acknowledged it, the less real it became. But it was real. So real it filled every box I taped shut. My parents tried to pretend things were okay. Mom bought me a blanket. Dad offered to check the oil in my car again. I let them. Not because I wanted to forgive them, but because I no longer needed their apology to move forward. Ava came by on my last night home. She brought cupcakes and a playlist. I made a mix for the drive, she said, grinning. I hugged her like I never had before, because she had been the only one who saw me clearly when no one else wanted to. When the morning came, I didn't cry, not even when I turned to look at the house one last time, because it wasn't home anymore. Not really. It was just the place where I learned how to stop apologizing for taking up space. I drove 8 hours to campus, pulled into a parking lot filled with strangers, and felt lighter than I had in years. My dorm was small, the bed creaked, the heater wheezed, but it was mine. Completely, finally mine. Orientation was a blur of handshakes and flyers. People asked me what my story was. I smiled, said I was just someone who took the long way here. And that was enough. One night, I opened my laptop and scrolled through the Reddit post again. The comments were still coming in. Stories from others. People thanking me. People saying it helped them leave, speak up, fight back. I hadn't realized it then. But that post wasn't just about my story. It was a spark. And maybe that's how change starts. With someone tired of staying silent. I haven't heard from Liana since I left. Not a text, not an email, not a word. And I'm okay with that, because I don't need a relationship built on guilt, or blood that turns cold when you succeed. I need truth, and boundaries, and peace. And now, I have all three. Some people will always try to delete your chances, your voice, your worth. But if you keep a copy for yourself, if you remember who you are underneath all the noise, you can always hit send again. And this time, send it to the right place, where it belongs. What do you think about Maya's decision? Was she too harsh? Or was this the only way to truly protect herself? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more heartfelt stories about family.